Peace, family. What's good? Happy Friday to everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. I wanted to come on and I want to address this issue of culture vultureism. And I want to put it in the context of identity versus ideology. It's very important for us to understand that the modern academic world needs major improvements. And one of those areas that it needs major improvements in is accurate history. Some of you who come on my posts, you will see people of a distinct lineage attacking us and calling us culture vultures. And I want to academically deflate everything that they're saying. First of all, we don't have to prove anything to you. We exist as a tribal government. We operate as a tribal government. We have a Congress, courts, plethora of operations, business operations. And with that existence, we're operating daily in our purpose, in our functions in the tribe, whether you like that or not. In fact, some of our own people don't like it because they're confusing ideology with identity. The identity that we're functioning under, no government entity is suing us. We never got charged with fraud. We function in society. We use our political status and all of the benefits on a daily basis. So if you, let's say, were a black Hebrew Israelite and you disagree historically that the Jewish people are actual Jews, it doesn't matter. They have Israel, they're running their body politic, and there's nothing you can do about that. And I guarantee most of you won't go on any Jewish Facebook group or any public social media or anything like that and talk to them like you talk to us. So we're going to start considering what you say a hate crime, because it is a hate crime. We're minding our business, doing what we have to do as a people. And you're stepping into our zone and now attacking us. So now let me attack you, but attack you fairly, attack you academically. You say that the people we call the you misnamed them Olmecs, sometimes Mayans. They have nothing to do with us. That's what you say. You highlight genetics, you highlight history, you highlight linguistics, you highlight a whole bunch of things. But what you don't highlight is the primary records. And so what do the primary records say? The primary records are left in epigraphy. Let's look at the epigraphy. What do the people look like? How did they paint themselves? Not what you say they are. How did they paint themselves? How far did their empire extend? How do we use language to consider that? And so when we look at the so-called Olmec Mayans, we can see who they are and who they are not. You do not have the MC1R gene in your body. They did. You do not have the CUTU copper transport gene in your body that can make hair like this. You don't have it. They did. So since we're looking at Bonham Peck, let's say, which are murals 1,500 years old, you mean to tell me your skin went from dark to pale and your hair went from this to how you look in 1,500 years? That's what you're telling me. So the primary imperial governing systems in Mexico all the way up to Virginia. Now, why am I going up to Virginia? Because the tribes linguistically have the same language as the people you're calling Mayans. How does a Virginia king get the name Powhatan when Powhatan absolutely is a she deity? Explain it. How did Shakili in the 1730s, when he did a treaty with Oglethorpe, and he wrote on buffalo skin in red and black writing? Why red and black? Isn't the Georgia Bulldogs team red and black to this day? What language did he write it in, and how did it get to London, and how come they won't show you? I have it. What language is it? This is how I can tell you a chief's name is not Tomochichi, but you still calling him Tomochichi. That is a misnomer. That was not his name. He wrote his name. What language did he write it in? You don't know, because you don't speak it. So you're telling me you're Creek and you can't speak the original Muskogean languages, which, by the way, were written languages? Where is it? You don't speak Muskogean languages. You don't speak Hittite. You don't speak any of these dialects. What were they doing here? My brother, thank you for doing your dissertation, because in liberated soils, the research proves that they were growing cacao in the American Southeast. Were your ancestors growing cacao? Now let's go to the genetics, because we can prove your ancestors weren't growing cacao or had it as a part of their nutrition, because it would show up actually in your genome. There's specific things in the microbiome in our bodies, the various microbiomes, that are also in plants. So I run a DNA company, Native Labs. I do DNA methylation tests. I do PCR. I do all of these things. And I'm sitting here, people who have no knowledge of genetics whatsoever, because they don't read the fine print on a website. They're telling me that our bloodlines are African. First of all, there's no such thing as an African bloodline. Bloodlines are created by genes. There's no African genetics. There's a plethora of genetics on the African continent. And genes are not restricted to continents. So the test at 23andMe, African ancestry, etc., they will read the fine print. This has nothing to do with identity. You don't know even what to test to see who is from where. So when I see people on various platforms saying those things, I'm like, bruh, you're too stupid to even have the conversation. You don't even know what to look for on a PCR test. You don't even know what to look for on a DNA methylation test. You don't even know what to look for on a haplogroup test. You don't know. We do. The reason why we got into the fields because we wanted to be unbiased and assess the information. And now that we have assessed it, we know the entire truth. There are people who consider themselves scholarly who are saying there were no black people in pre-Columbian America. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? That means you never traveled. And so what we're saying is we're here and we are building, once again, jurisdiction. There's nothing you could do to stop it. Secondly, you're not smarter than us. In no way. As a matter of fact, if you feel like you are, whether you're at Harvard or whether you're on the block, let's set up the debates. Let's create neutral panels and let's put finances up to put your argument up against ours so that we can let the public see who is accurate and who is not. So all of the Eurasians and people of South Asian descent who are now here calling themselves Native Americans, we know your whole history. You were brought here in the Manila Galleon, the Trans-Pacific slave trade. That's how you got here. There were only two other eras prior to that. The She had their own slave trade. That's why you find elephants in the hieroglyphics. In the Mayan hieroglyphics. Where did the elephants come from? Woolly mammoth had been gone. They brought them from Asia. In the slave trade. Why do you think the leader of China has the name Xi? That is not a Chinese name. That's an American name. And so all we're saying is we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep building economy. We're going to keep building indigenous GDP. What you're going to do, those specific $5 Indians that are coming on our post, you're going to continue to collect welfare from the federal government, and even that's running out. So all we're saying is leave us alone. You're not even equipped to sit in a room with us to have dialogues on these subjects. Where are your dissertations on the subject? Where are they? And I'm talking to not just the people who come on our post, I'm talking to all of academia in respect to who is indigenous autochthons to this land. That's a different question than the political side. We're not even questioning. The BIA can give you whatever they want to give you. That's none of our business. But when it comes down to the hard science, you're not even equipped.